Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Serenade of Music featuring Ackerman Wines. My name is Joe Hind. I'm the Hospitality and Sales Manager for Ackerman Family Vineyards, and I want to thank everyone again for joining us this wonderful Friday evening. We have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Katya Grineva with us, who's a very wonderful pianist, and we have a wonderful show prepared for you. So I do want to let everyone know that we will be muting your microphones during the performance, so there's no outside interference with any of the sounds from our homes or any background surroundings. And also, I want everyone to know that up in the top right corner of your screens, you'll see an icon that will either read gallery view or speaker view. Be sure that it reads gallery view and not speaker view, so that way the focus will be the performance tonight, and we'll see everyone on the top bars individually in the squares there as well. So again, be sure it says gallery view, not speaker view. And without further ado, I want to introduce our host of the evening, Lauren Ackerman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to have Katya with us this evening, and I'm so looking forward to this wonderful concert that she is providing for us. And I want to also thank everyone. We have several people from all over the country here today, and I see several people that I personally know well, and just welcoming all of you to be part of this afternoon and this evening with us. We are just thrilled to be able to do this, and it's been a true honor to work with you, Katya, to put this together as well. So we, are thrilled to have this, and I'm excited to share. And before we get into some music, I thought I would talk a little bit about who Ackerman Family Vineyards is, what we're about. And I'll just give you the brief history. Some of you know this quite well, but hopefully a little time each time there's a little bit more. But the property was purchased in the southern part of Napa Valley in an area now known as Coombsville. My husband and I purchased this back in 1994, and we actually started making a little bit of wine, just a couple barrels, starting in 1995. So we actually have wines that go back all the way to that time period. Not a lot, but a little bit of that. And for us, the whole allure of Coombsville back in those days, and still to this day, is that it's quite different the other parts of Napa Valley. It tends to be cooler. It's in the southern part of the valley. We get the fogs from the San Pablo Bay that come in a lot of times, where it cools things off. And that affects the grapes in the sense that they have these nice long warm days, but much cooler nights, which is the perfect ideal growing season for Cabernet Sauvignon. In fact, recently we had Peter Marks, who's a master of wine, on this program doing a virtual event with us. And he talked about the similarities of Coombsville and Bordeaux, France, being literally about 6 degrees in temperature throughout the year for a lot of what the Bordeaux style wines are. And Coombsville has been compared to that over the years for having these a different kind of lush structure with a little more minerals and earthiness to it. Excuse me, not so big, bold, fruit forward, but really elegant and smooth. Excuse me, it takes a little water here. Getting so excited about this. So Coombsville for me has been where I've lived for 26 years now. And excuse me, just been really trying to build a small brand in interesting ways. So in 2010, after making wine for a little while, getting it out there, mostly with the Cabernet Sauvignon, I had the crazy idea of buying a dilapidated Victorian in downtown Napa in 2010. It was a horrible shape. It was years of neglect. And I was very naive about buying it and trying to restore it. So much so that it took me 5 years to get this project done. And you can see in the backdrop, that's just the main drawing room, if you will, the grand salon. It took a long time, but it's now the home of Ackerman Family Vineyards. Aside from the vineyard itself out in Coombsville, which is only 10 minutes away, this is where we do a lot of our events. This is where we have our wine tasting outside in an area called the Aviary. And the house itself is, I'm very proud of the fact that it received last year in 2019, the California Preservation Award for the best historic preservation. So it's truly kind of a special place that is now home to what we do here, all about various things to do with wine, food, art, which is a passion for always, and obviously music is part of that. And so for me to be able to do this, to have this opportunity to bring what I've always wanted to have with wine, food, and art come together, this is what we're doing with our virtual events, and being able to share wonderful, wonderful artists like Katya with all of you today. So the wines for me have been something of an evolution. We're growing quite a bit. We're still considered a very small producer, and we have followers from all over the country now. Many of you are known about our brand for a while, and we're excited to be sharing more and more of these special events in line with the wines that we have. So today, we're basically inviting you, when we get through all of this lockdown, as we're starting to see everybody starting to slowly but surely open up. If you are in the area and can get to us and drive or fly to Napa, we would love to host you at the Victorian. Love to share the wines, love to share the experience, show you around Napa. I think that's really important. And is also part of our evolution this past year. We also hired a new winemaker, Leo Tellez. And Leo is the winemaker with Sodaro Estates, which is literally about a mile away from our vineyard. And he has quite a background as well, excuse me, in making wine from very small producers. My goodness, my voice today. Excuse me. And he is the one that made our newest rosé that we're introducing here soon, our Sauvignon Blanc, which we're enjoying tonight, and other wines that he's making with us. His first harvest with us was in 2019. And so he's a new part of our expansion and growth for our wines. And super excited to have him and to see what he can do in the future. So with that, I just want to give you that brief background about who we are and what we are as a small producer. But most importantly, the star of the night is Katya herself. And Katya, I met with my boyfriend, Bruce Kaiser, at the Carter's house, along with Gay Crawford, who was there. Hi, Gay, I know you're there. And we just hit it off. We had such a great time, all of us together, down in Los Gatos. I think it was last fall, if I'm not mistaken. And we just hit it off and enjoyed so much of her music. We're just totally taken aback by her beautiful, beautiful emotion as she plays piano. And Katya, as you will quickly find out, is a penultimate, extremely fabulous pianist. The most, I think I'm not mistaken in saying, has played the most of any female pianist at Carnegie Hall. She's a Steinway artist, and I will let her tell you some of her other background. But above and most importantly, she is just a genuinely wonderful and a beautifully pianist that I've ever experienced. So I'm super thrilled and honored to have her play for us today. And Katya, I would love for you to introduce more about yourself, tell us a little bit more, and then we can get into the beautiful music while we're drinking wine. Allow my voice to kind of filter itself here. So.
I'm so happy to be here tonight, and thank you so much for inviting me. I was looking forward to come and visit you in July, but maybe next July, but not this July, right? But I'm originally from Russia, and I started playing piano when I was 5.5, completely by accident actually. My neighbors called my mom one day and said, "It's a beautiful day and we're taking our children for a walk through the park. Why don't we take your daughter?" And my mom said, "Sure." So I went with them, and I still remember the walk. Like, it was like 1 hour walk through the park, and we played with big leaves. I even have photographs. And when I arrived with them to the music school, I passed the exam, the entrance exam, just along with them. So when they came back, they told my mom, "Your daughter was accepted in the music school." My mom said, "Well, we don't even have a piano." And they said, "Well, why doesn't she can play our piano?" So then my parents decided, all right, for 6 months, let her play neighbor's piano, and then if she shows any interest, maybe we'll consider buying an instrument. So then the teacher called my mom after 6 months and she said, "Your daughter has real talent. I think you should buy piano." And my parents bought me a piano. At that time in Moscow was a very difficult time. You can hardly find any food. Forget about buying a piano. And pianos would arrive only like every 6 months in one store from Europe, and there was a waiting list to get them. So they got me this beautiful German Zimmermann upright, or like very beautiful. And I remember the night it arrived, my mom called me to the room and said, "You have your piano. If you don't want to practice, just let me know and we will sell it." And I always practiced because I always remember, like, if I don't practice, she will sell the piano, and I love that piano. And and I think like since I was young, and even like I remember when I was 7 or 8 years old, I loved it so much that I didn't understand why people don't play piano and how could they be happy if they don't play piano. Because I felt if I don't play one day, something is missing. And I still feel the same way. Like people ask me, "Do you want to go on vacation?" I said, "No, I don't want to go on vacation. I will only go where there's a beautiful piano and I can give a concert. And then I can take a few days off and maybe like visit beautiful scenery, but I want to make sure there's a piano I can play." So I really have passion for it. And I arrived to America in '89, and my dream was to play at Carnegie Hall. And this year would have been my 20th season on December. But they told me yesterday that all the concerts are canceled. So it's going to be next December. We're moving it a year from now. All the concerts at Carnegie Hall is canceled, which is so sad. But at least we have this. So I specialize in romantic repertoire because I think the music of those composers, they really evoke the deepest emotions and emotion of love, and I resonate with that music very much. And when I visited Lauren in this gorgeous place like your heritage house, it's so beautiful. It's like perfect for romantic music. It's like the air of Mozart and Schubert and Chopin. Like, and also what struck me when I tasted the wines, that it's such a high quality wine. It's not just a regular wine. There's so much texture and variety of feeling, and that's what you find in this music. You find all these emotions and texture and colors. So I think it's wonderful to combine wine and music because it opens all your senses. Like, it's just very exciting, and it's perfect combination. Thank you. So I chose like very beautiful pieces, but I will introduce each piece with a wine.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really excited. And thank you, Katya, for introducing yourself. And your backstory is really remarkable and incredible. And when we get into our music this evening, I will introduce the first wine of the evening. So this will actually be our 2018 Sauvignon Blanc. So our Sauvignon Blanc is really a phenomenal white wine. It's really summer in a glass, as we like to call it. You know, it's got a lot of the floral notes on the nose. It has a really captivating feel on the palate, you know, really refresh and crisp. So there's no oak into this one at all. So it's all stainless steel. So it really has that nice crisp cleanness while still getting a lot of great lemon curd, citrus tones on there as well. And really just the only thing you need for the summer to really keep it moving in that sense for an enjoyable part. And Katya, would you like to explain the song that we chose for the Sauvignon Blanc this evening?
Sure. I chose this beautiful Debussy arabesque, and I chose it because it has so much texture, as you described the wine, and richness to it, but yet it's very light. So I think it's perfect piece for the wine.
Yes, I would certainly
And
concur.
French. So I'm going to have a sip of wine, and I invite everybody to have a sip of wine,
Really?
and we'll enjoy the beautiful Debussy arabesque.
It's fantastic. Well done, Katya.
Bravo, bravo. That was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really magnificent. You know, it really paired nicely with the wines. You had the nice, feel good, warm feelings to it while still having that kind of like relaxing sensation of stability and equilibrium as well. Really well done, Katya. And so our next wine of the evening, I will actually pass to Lauren. Lauren, would you like to introduce our next wine of the evening?
Absolutely. This is one of my favorites. Of course, everybody asks me which wine is my favorite, and I have to always say, I love all my children. So this is one of them. And this one is our Alla Vigna Tosca. This is the 2017 Alla Vigna Tosca. Put it here. I have a virtual backdrop today, even though I am at the Victorian. And this wine we started making back in 2007, pretty much as an experiment based on our love of travel at the time to go to Italy and try these beautiful wines that were, for me, a kind of a surprise to discover were Cabernet and Sangiovese blends, a lot of them. And coming back to Napa, decided to see if we could make one using our Cabernet grapes and finding some Sangiovese, which isn't easy to do in Napa, actually. There's a few vineyards, but not a lot. And used it as an experiment wine for, if you will, for Premier Napa Valley, which is a big trade event every February to introduce wines to the wholesale market, if you will, throughout Napa, throughout the world, actually coming to Napa to try these wines. And it was quite a success. So we went on to continue making it, although slightly different compositions. And every year that we've made this wine, it varies, primarily because of what we find both in the Cabernet and the weather that year, but also more important in this particular area, the Sangiovese, because the Sangiovese is hard to find, and it is a very warm climate grape. And so some years it's not going to produce as much, and other years, if we have a hot spring and summer, we find more of that. So we're very fortunate that we do have some great sources for this. And this particular wine this year is 70% Sangiovese and 30% Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's got a lovely nose. It's got a lovely balance. It's sort of your wine that you can grab to go with pizza and sausage and lamb and pastas and some of your fare like that. It also goes well with certain fish and lighter dishes. It's a great wine for summer. It's a great wine for fall. It's a great wine anytime, but it's fun to try it. And it's one of my favorites, and one that people seem to resonate with because there's only about 3 or 4 of us producers in all of Napa Valley that actually make this kind of wine. So it's fun. And Alla Vigna Tosca is actually Italian for in the spirit of Tuscany. So this is paying homage to Tuscany and the long tradition of art and of course music coming from Italy. And it was a perfect wine, I think, to go with what Katya is going to play for us next.
Okay, would you like to introduce the next song for the Alla Vigna Tosca?
Yeah, the next piece I chose was by Mozart, and it's his beautiful Sonata in A major, and I'll play first movement. And the reason I chose it is because personality of Mozart was very light, and he had a lot of, he had amazing sense of humor and kind of quirky, but at the same time, his music is so warm and has so much warmth and beauty. And I thought it kind of represents your wine because you have like cinnamon and clove, and then at the same time it's like raspberries, and I mean I read descriptions and I could feel it when I tasted, and strawberries. Like it has all these different textures, and that's how Mozart was. Like very complicated, like very simple and complicated, and light and beautiful and warm. And I thought this was perfect. So we have a glass of wine and I'll play Mozart.
Wonderful, Katya. Very well. Very done. Bravo.
Beautiful and perfect for that particular wine, I would say.
Absolutely. I would 100% agree. Well done and bravo again, Katya.
Yes. So thank you for that. Good choice.
Very much so. So our next wine of the evening, I will be introducing. So our next wine is going to be the 2014 Le Chatelaine. And this one is really, truly fitting for both the Victorian and also for our leading lady, Lauren, as well. So the term Le Chatelaine actually comes from the Victorian era for the lady of the house in those regards. And it's our 5-grade Bordeaux style blend. So on the Ackerman estate, there is 5 varietals in total that are grown. So we grow our Cabernet Sauvignon, of course. We have a small area we like to call the spice box, which has rows of Merlot, Cab Franc, Malbec, and then Petit Verdot. So this one's pretty evenly blended throughout. So we're focusing more on the Cab Franc, however. So about 24% Cabernet Franc. We're at about 20% Malbec, 20% Cabernet Sauvignon, 20% Merlot, and then 16% Petit Verdot. But really beautiful wine. One of the nice parts about the 2014 vintage is we had some heat spikes that year, which added a lot of ripening of the natural sugars inside the fruit. So it gives it more of that fruit forward characteristic. But you also find some that minerality that's in there, because Coombsville has some of the most volcanic soil compared to any other appellations and sub-appellations in the Napa Valley due to Mount George's eruption. So there's a lot of the volcanic ash that's hardened over millions of years in our own vineyard. If you ever come and visit us and walk the vineyard, you can actually just pick up ash and it crumbles in your hand. So you get that very beautiful fruit forward essence on there with a nice finesse in the minerality as well, but really deep purple in this wine here as well, but very blended, very precisely and with a lot of precision as well, but that kind of intense but elegant flavor as well. So the song that Katya had chose here as well, I'll let her introduce that, and I think is very fitting for this wine. Has that deep, dark texture with a little bit of the finesse and elegance, and also this was aged for about 15 months in French oak. So Katya, I will let you introduce our next song of the evening for the wine.
Yes, I chose 2 pieces for this wine, and it's going to be first the Chopin Nocturne, number 2, a very famous nocturne, and then Debussy Clair de Lune, which is one of his most famous, beautiful pieces, impressionistic pieces. And the reason I chose those pieces is because I think this wine, it has, like as you described, it has this like violets and blackberries, and has this depth which romantic composers have. And yet it's very elegant, and that's how Chopin's music is. It has so much emotion and depth, but it's very elegant. It's never too much. And the same with Debussy. Like Debussy's music has incredible colors because it's impressionistic and depth to it. Like Clair de Lune, you can imagine reflection of the moon and all these colors and texture and the ocean. And I think this wine is like, those 2 pieces were perfect for this wine because of aroma and this like depth and dark, like, and romantic. It kind of feels very romantic to me, this wine. So that's why I chose those pieces.
Absolutely, and I also love how we're going to do the 2 pieces together. So
yeah, because it has like 2 different sides. Yeah,
exactly, and very fitting for our blend. So Katya.
You, again, Katya, so beautiful. And of course, Chopin is one of my favorites, and just so special. Thank
Thank
you for that.
you.
And it perfectly suits that wine. It really,
Okay,
really does. I can see that with the notes in that and the notes in the wine. It was a great match. So thank you for that.
thank you.
Beautiful.
I was going to play Claire de Lune too for the same wine.
Oh, fantastic. That's also a good choice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
because I think people need to enjoy wine more.
Yes. Well, especially wine and music go so well together, and what a great opportunity to do that. So
Yeah.
I was just sitting here thinking, I can't wait for when all of this crazy stuff happens, that we'd love to have you come and play at the Victorian in person with
I
everyone here.
know, because this music is so perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to tell people, I didn't have a chance, that I'm playing this 108-year-old Steinway upright, which, if you can
Nice.
see, has like amazing woodwork. It's kind of like your house.
Oh,
Like it would be perfect in Victorian house, this piano. And it's that year when Steinway produced those uprights, that was the best year for the uprights. That's
nice.
why it has very light touch and has a beautiful sound. So
And I think I told you, Katya, my mother, who passed away in 2001, had a 1914 Steinway that I've been trying all these years to restore, and I've been not putting it on lately because I had no place to put it. I now have a reason why to put it back together so that you can come and play it, be the first to play it when it's all
that
done.
would be amazing.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
but that was beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll play Claire de Lune.
All right,
Okay.
perfect. Oh, that's beautiful. Also, it's just another one of those famous and beautiful and classic pieces that just really makes your heart sing. Truly makes your heart sing. Wonderful, Katya. Thank you for that. That's just lovely.
Thank you.
So,
Yes, I would completely agree. That was truly magical and a perfect blend of the tune, having that kind of more like, darker in a way with the nocturne, and then really having that brightness as well. I mean, really well paired, Katya. You are a music sommelier, if I will say so myself.
musical sommelier. I like that, Joe. So, well, we are just so thrilled, and we've got more, a little bit more here. And I think it's now up to me to talk about the next wine, which is, we're going back a little bit in time. We are now going to be having our 2008 Cabernet Sauvignon. And I will showcase this bottle if you can see it right, right in there, I believe. So this is to showcase that since we've been making wines since 1995, we know that in Coombsville, what's wonderful about that area, because of their Bordeaux-like structure and the coolness that I described, and I did forget to mention, we're in a volcanic, ancient volcanic caldera. So we've got these beautiful volcanic soils, as well as diatomaceous soils, which are essentially leftover sea creatures over time that create this beautiful acidity and minerality to the wines. And this particular wine is now, as a 2008. When it was young, it was very much tannins, a lot of real structure to this wine that just naturally comes from this vineyard. But what's wonderful about these wines, and what we've noticed since 1995, as they age, they tend to get more interesting. They get more complex. Their tightness as youth, in their youth, it softens up as we get older and they get older, and it's just this beautiful complexity to the wines, and they pair beautifully with all kinds of foods. Primarily, the meats and the proteins and the things like that that people enjoy with Cabernet traditionally, but they also pair well with things like tuna, which is an interesting fact, because these wines, our first commercial vintage was the 2003 vintage of this 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And the first chef, Victor Scargill, who's a dear, dear friend of mine, he actually served our 100% Cabernet with a tuna dish for the board members of Boeing Airlines at the time, which I thought I'd never heard of that. It was amazing. And he said, no, it pairs well because this kind of wine complements foods. It's not competing with too much of high alcohols and things like that in the wine. It's just this nice, subtle, more interesting complexity to the wine. So it goes great with food. And I think, for me, Cabernet is really how we got started. Our vineyard in Coombsville is just under 16 acres, the whole property, but 11 acres planted, 10 of which are in Cabernet Sauvignon, and the other just under an acre is what Joe described earlier as the spice box, which has our other varietals. And for me, as everyone knows, Cabernet Sauvignon is what Napa has been defined for so long. And it's truly because of our the deep soils, the kind of the atmosphere, the weathers, and all that we've seen over the years. And Coombsville is one of those areas, as I mentioned before, very much like Bordeaux. And that came into full circle for me when Lord Jacob Rothschild, who is the English lord of Mouton and Lafite, from the French Rothschild part of the family. He's one of the cousins. Lord Jacob, who's still with us, who lives in London and in Waddesdon Manor area, was known and still is known to not particularly like California Cabernet, primarily because it was popular a few years ago to have very fruit-forward, higher alcohol kinds of wines, and he's being in the wine business from France, and more of that subtlety, that elegance, that complexity kind of preferred that style, lower alcohols. And his business manager, Christopher Campbell, came over in around 2004, 2005, and stayed with us at the time and tried the wines and really loved them. Took a few bottles back, and unbeknownst to me, did a blind taste testing with Lord Jacob Rothschild, where Lord Jacob was asked to identify this, mystery wine that, as it turns out, when he couldn't identify it, kept thinking it was a French Cabernet or Bordeaux, I should say. He couldn't identify it. When he found out it was a California Cab, he was quite taken aback and thought I'd never had a California Cab with the Bordeaux-like qualities. And fast forward a couple more years, probably around 2007, 2008, actually, I was able to travel with my dear friend, Margaret Mondavi of Mondavi Wines, and she had never met Lord Jacob, so we were going back to introduce her. And before we did that, we went to the wine shop at Waddesdon Manor, which is this amazing 18th century country home, ginormous, outside of London. We went to the wine shop, and there in the wine shop, there was a sign that said the Napa Legend and the Napa Newcomer. Well, the Napa Legend was Opus One, which was a partnership between the Rothschilds and the Mondavis, and the Napa Newcomer was Ackerman Family Vineyards. And we were the only non-Lafitte and Mouton or Opus wine that they sold in their wine shop at Waddesdon Manor. And I remember thinking, okay, this is a good sign for this little tiny winery in Coombsville, of all places, that we just were acknowledged by, the Rothschild family as being one of them in that way. And that's one of the things that I love about this business, about the camaraderie, the whole relationship of this. And so this particular wine, this 2008, it's one of my favorites. It's grown on me over the years. When it was a baby, wasn't so sure, but now as it's grown up and matured, it's got this lovely, beautiful, lush nose and fragrance. It's got deep berries, cocoa, and a little bit of taste of leather, if you will, and obviously some of those amazing spices. And for me, this is a wine that you can drink anytime, anywhere, with pretty much anything, because it is very versatile in that. So with that, I want to say, did I miss anything, Joe, on that? Did I describe it the way you would describe it as well?
You described it absolutely perfectly. I mean, really magnificent and quite actually one of my favorites of our collection as well. The 2008 always resonates with me because even like the Le Chatelaine, especially as the eights have aged, it's got that powerful, like kind of fiery Boron complexity to it, if you will, but still that smooth elegance, and very great to have an evening wine for that matter as well too, but described absolutely wonderfully as well.
And I would also say, with these kind of wines as well, we typically aged for 24 months in French oak, always new French oak, and also another 2 years in the bottle before we release them. Because we know the Coombsville wines take a little more time to kind of relax those beautiful tannins, but having beautiful, strong tannins also helps to predict the ageability of a wine and allows these wines to age, 20 plus years, which we are still drinking some of those early wines from 1995. So that's one of the things that is also really important to know about the Coombsville area, because this style of wine, being that it is more Bordeaux-like in its structure and its nature, allows wines to be drunk now and certainly enjoyed now in their youth, but also that they improve and get even better over time.
Absolutely. And one of the beauties of Coombsville with the ageability factor as well, having that nice cool climate out there that Coombsville has down in the southeast section of Napa, and the crater-like rolling hills that allow cool breezes and fogs to trap in there longer, while you still get some of that Napa heat that comes down too. So it's a really perfect balance of warmth and coolness we're enjoying now, and then aging, like you said, Lauren. Even some of the wines from 1995 are still absolutely drinkable now, and they're marvelous, I must say.
Thank you. It's fun to have them.
Oh, most definitely. And since we described the 2008, I will now pass it over to Katya, and she'll describe the song that we chose for the 2008.
Yes, I chose very famous piece by Ravel, Bolero. And as you know, Bolero is written for the full orchestra, and there's a transcription for 8 pianos, 4 pianos, 2 pianos, 4 hands on one piano. I think I'm the only one who plays with 2 hands on one piano. And it's because when I traveled on one of my tours, I was in New Caledonia, French country. And after I gave a concert, I was invited to a private party, and I opened a bench with the music, and there was this bolero. And I was like, I couldn't believe I found it. I asked the owner to give a copy, and they made a copy for me. And it's complicated to play it because the left hand and right hand do completely two different things. So it's in a way your brain has to completely split to play this piece. And there's no way to even memorize it. I remember I was traveling on one of my fancy Silver Sea cruises, and I had the score, and I read it one night, and I just counted how many bars the left hand does and what the right hand does, and in the morning I could play it. And I still don't understand like how it settled in my brain. And ever since I can play this piece, I never have to practice it. I just can play it. I don't know, it's kind of a miracle. But the reason I thought it's perfect for the one you just described, because you described that it has like very like intensity, character, and kind of electrifying nose. And this piece has so much intensity. And it's French, and you said that your wines were featured in France, so it's perfect. It's, like it's very elegant. Like this music is very elegant, but at the same time, it has this intensity and passion. So I thought it was perfect. And you know, it starts very soft and then it builds up to huge crescendo. So I hope you will enjoy it. And I'll have a sip of the wine.
Yes,
Cheers.
definitely
Cheers,
interesting.
Katya.
Yes, this is the one I've been looking forward to of the evenings.
Yes, me too. That was amazing. So beautiful, Katya. So amazing. And I watching your hands that after you said what you said, I'm like, wow, how you know, yes, I could see how you had to do one on one side and one on the other completely differently.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful though. Really
So,
spectacular.
Really an incredible performance. That was absolutely amazing.
Yes, I totally agree, and so honored that you could play that for us. And to go with the intensity of the wine and the character of this, it was a beautiful match. Totally. So, thank you for that. So wonderful.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, all these songs have paired so wonderfully with these wines this evening. I mean, I will say, I knew I was looking forward to that Bolero. That one is by far my favorite of the evening. But I would, you know, I can't just stop right there. You know, I think we need to have one more song in honor of Lady Lauren as well. And also for everyone that joined us this evening, I think it'd be a disservice not to get just one more from you, Katya. So I believe we prepared one extra song. If you'd like to introduce that one as well.
yes. I chose one of my favorite pieces. It's Chopin Fantasy Impromptu.
Oh,
And I think it's perfect for Lauren and for your beautiful house. And
thank
you
you.
will recognize the middle part, the famous song I'm Always Chasing Rainbows, came
Oh,
from this piece of music. And a lot of people don't know that so many famous songs came from Chopin's music. And it's because I think his music speaks to the heart and people want to put words and make a song. It makes sense, right?
right. Well, and Chopin, I remember discovering that when I was a child, you know, his music, and it's always resonated with, it always makes me happy.
Yeah,
It's always
because it,
comforting and happy,
yeah,
beautiful and relaxing and calming kind of music.
yeah, because it connects you to your heart.
Exactly. So, and
That's
that's
why
why we're connected. So awesome. Beautiful, Katya. Thank you.
thank you. So it's Chopin Fantasy Impromptu.
So
Thank you.
amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Katya. Beautiful. So beautiful.
Fabulous.
Wonderful. I hope everyone, I mean, just, we're so honored to have you, Katya, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this because your beautiful music, your beautiful presence, everything about this is just, it resonates all the way here to Napa Valley. I know you're out in upstate New York area, and so appreciate you doing this with us and gracing us with your beautiful music. It's pretty spectacular to have you be part of this for us. And, you know, it's just a special, special time. And to pair it with the wines, couldn't ask for anything better. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Very well done this evening, Katya. It was absolutely stunning and captivating, I may say myself as well.
And Gay, if you're there, I think you might be stepped up, but thank you also for introducing me to Katya way back in last year when we were all at the Carter's house. That was a special time, and Gay was also able to join Katya to come and visit the Victorian last fall, right? So that was amazing fun to have her also be here. So we enjoyed that. And for everyone from around the country, I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this. How often do we get access to this kind of beautiful music and beautiful talent? It's a rare occasion, and it's very special that we are honored to have Katya with us today. So I appreciate that so much.
I second that 100%. It was really an honor. I mean, the performance was extremely well done. And I also recorded this video as well, so we'll be posting that onto our YouTube channel as well. So if you want to revisit any of this beautiful concert, I know I certainly will be watching that Bolero a couple of times this evening, and maybe lull myself to sleep with that one as well. That was just absolutely magnificent. But I do also want to let everyone know that since you joined us this evening, we want to let you know that we'll be putting out a special offer in regards to our wine, so keep an eye out for that. I've taken note of everyone that joined us here, so we'll be sending you an exclusive and special offer. So do keep your eye out for that side as well. And if you haven't already followed us on Facebook, please do give us a like on there, and it gives you access to any of the current events that we're doing. We have some wonderful other concert series as well. Our Facebook Lives are posted on there as well. We usually try to do those at least twice a month. It's really a fun time. And if you haven't visited our store to acquire our beautiful wines, you're welcome to do that. And also keep an eye out for the special offer as well. And I think I speak on behalf of the Ackerman team. And Katya, again, thank you very much. This was so wonderful to have everyone this evening.
Yes, and I look forward, as I said earlier, when we are through all of this, shelter in place and then quarantine and all of this crazy stuff that we've all had to endure. I look forward to having Katya play at the Victorian and have all of you also be able to be there if that was possible in person as well, because I think I would love to see her play on my mother's 1914 Steinway, which has never ever had someone like you grace its keys, Katya. So that would be awesome if we could do that in the future. So
That would be amazing.
that's my dream anyway. So wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. And have a great, great weekend. Enjoy great wines and then great music. And thank you all for being part of this tonight. We so appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you all in Napa sometime soon, I hope.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Great
we-
evening.
We loved it. Thank you, Katya.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Katya. Thank you. Thank you, Ackerman team.
Bye now. Bye all.
Great weekend. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers. Cheers.